So I welcome you all to Talk a Book. These are online sessions where we are reading best-selling books in very interesting and innovative way through pictures, videos, presentations. The key concepts that we read from the book stay with us for a very long time. And along with that, when you pick this book up physically and start reading it, the comprehension is far, far better. So you are now able to understand each and everything that is written in the book so very well. In the journey of the two best-selling books that we have read till now, The Habit of Winning by Mr. Prakash Iyer and Fish by Stephen Lundeen, we have had great experiences and personalities joining us and talking to us about their experiences, their failure to success stories, and which made the ideas in the book come alive, actually. We were also fortunate enough that the authors of both the books joined us and talked to us about their experience of writing this book and also their life experiences and some questions that were asked by our participants, which were answered by the authors, and they are great learning experiences indeed. The next book that we pick up, I am actually honored and very, very happy that we have got a chance to read this book, because this book is considered by people as a book which everyone should read before they die. Yeah, a book that everyone should and must read. I'm talking about How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is a book of the century which has created a huge impact on almost all the successful people. Yes, I'm saying this on record that any successful person on the face of this earth, you ask that person and he will definitely say that yes, I have read this book and this book has brought about a change in me. So if they can, why can't us? Why can't we come together and read it in the most interesting way so that the ideas in the book, the principles which Dale Carnegie says, but we would call it practices, stay with us for a very, very long time and we can adopt them, imbibe them, and make the most out of them. Let me take you to the presentation. Here we start with a small, idea about what this book is all about, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It is always a very good idea to start doing anything with a question, why? This idea I came across when I was reading this book, Start with Why, written by Simon Sinek. Another very well-known author of our times, Simon Sinek, also an orator, a TED speaker. If you get time, just go and listen to his TED talk on why. And he very rightly says that the companies also who have catered to this question why have succeeded in capturing the maximum customers. So why are we doing something defines the purpose. And the moment the purpose is defined, our brain helps us to achieve the target. So why should we read this book? I have put up a few points that came to my mind. Let us have a look. Very easy, yet very effective. Yes, of course. The language is quite easy to understand. The transition between the chapters is lovely and very well done. And definitely it is very effective because the ideas are conveyed with the help of stories, examples, and anecdotes, which is easy for us to believe, and definitely it converts to be an effective way. Very relevant, of course. Changes are important and they're happening. Look at us today. I call myself a public speaker, but I'm communicating with you virtually today. So these changes are important, but the basis of what we are as humans is never going to change. And that basis is our emotional needs, our social needs, our physiological needs, which will always remain as they are. We all want to be known by people. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to have that understanding people have for us. And this is going to remain as it is throughout. So this book is going to be relevant till the end of mankind. Let me tell you that. So it's a relevant book, though written in 1936, but it is still relevant and it will always remain relevant. Because it teaches people skills, of course it does. It teaches us how to deal with people, because that is what we are doing. We are not yet in an age where we are dealing with robots. Well, robots may come, but they will never be able to overtake all the humans. We, somewhere or the other, because we are social beings, we are dealing with people. Based on practical experiences, and therefore teaches the principles that probably most other books failed to notice. Yes, Dale Carnegie, while writing this book, he has put up so many of his own experiences while he used to take these classes on public speaking, on managerial skills, on how to deal with people, and he has put up those experiences in this book. So this book becomes a handbook for each one of us when it comes to dealing with people. A book everyone should have in their personal libraries. This is my last point, and I often tell this to people. One book you must have in your personal libraries. So as soon as we finish with this session, if you don't have this book, just order it quickly and have it in your personal libraries, because this is going to create a good impact on people when they visit your home and you have this book in your showcase. Moving on, yes, this great personality called Dale Carnegie. Not just an author, but a man who has impacted so many lives. During our sessions, the regular sessions that we are going to have on this book, I will dedicate one session talking about this man, because he was not only an author, but a man who has brought about huge changes in the way we deal with people, in the way we have become more, known by people now. Yes, when we'll talk about this man, you'll come to know a man we should know about, Dale Carnegie. Right in the start of the book, just after the inner cover, comes this page, which talks about 12 things this book will do for you. But just wait, I'm really happy to share this with all of you, that I have the original copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yes, this is the original book of How to Win Friends. This cover is not printed now, and the book I'm holding in my hand is printed in January 1947, even before India became free. Yes, it has many, many editions. It has many printing. Quite a few printers around the world are printing this book, but none of them are printing with this original cover. So I have a 1947 antique piece with me, the most prized possession. I'm going to read this book from this copy itself. Okay, let me take you to 12 things this book will do for you. First, get you out of a mental rut, give you new thoughts, new visions, and new ambitions. Rut is the orthodox way of thinking, or that stringent way of thinking. So we are going to break all those and come out and have new thoughts, new ambitions for ourselves after reading this book. Enable you to make friends quickly and easily, of course. The title itself says. So, and this is our basic need. We want people to know us. We want people to recognize us. So it is going to help us do that too. Increase your popularity. As I said, we want people to know us. This is our basic need. I'm talking about this again and again. If you want to know about our basic needs, just see the Maslow, hierarchy, and you'll come to know that our self-esteem, self-actualization is based on this. Help you to win people to your way of thinking. Oh yes, we know a few ways, put a gun on somebody's head and say, come on, agree to what I'm saying. One, or debate or argue, or do something else. Yes, maybe this book will also tell us how to get people our way of thinking. increase your influence, your prestige, your ability to get things done. One of the most important traits of leadership. Yes, we are going to learn that too, understand that too through this book. Enable you to win new clients and new customers. Of course, if you are a good speaker, if you know how to deal with people, you are going to make new clients and increase your earning power. Make you a better salesman and a better executive. Who is a salesman? A person who knows how to talk to people, who knows how to bring people to his way of thinking. And this book will definitely take us to that. Help you to handle complaints, avoid arguments, keep your human contact smooth and pleasant. Often people come to me saying that I know who I am, I can work well on my talent. But when it comes to uh, solving all these complaints and arguments, I fall short of doing that. Well, the answer is there in this book, which we are going to read. Make you a better speaker, a more entertaining conversationalist. Of course, the most loved member of a group is the one who can do good conversation, who can entertain people while he or she is speaking. Here I would also like to share a fact with you. You know what makes a conversationalist most effective? Is it speaking or listening? Oh, no, it is not speaking, it is listening. Listen to this carefully. I'm going to share a statistic with you. A good conversationalist is 93% a listener and 7% a speaker. Yes, so you listen well and you become a great conversationalist. But this book will definitely help us do that. Then make the principles of psychology easy for you to apply in your daily contacts. Of course, psychology is a science, but here it is made easy for you. And the last, help you to arouse enthusiasm among your associates. Because when you are enthusiastic, when you are dealing things in the best possible way, definitely your associates are going to take that up from you, because that is going to go to them as well as an energy, and the workplace is going to be a very energetic one. Here now today, I have brought 3 stories for you from this book. This book is a collection of many stories and anecdotes. Today I'm going to discuss 3 of them with you. This book is basically divided into 4 sections, and each section has a number of chapters. So 3 stories from those chapters. Let us see. The first one: if you don't do this, you are headed for trouble. This is the 3rd chapter from the 2nd section of the book. And this chapter is a collection of, again, a lot of stories, out of which I've brought one of Andrew Carnegie. Well, he's not brother of Dale Carnegie, but a man we should know. First, let us see what Dale Carnegie is talking about in this chapter. So, Andrew Carnegie was known as the Steel King of the US. But how did he become the king? He didn't know much about steel. The workers who used to work with him knew more about steel than he did. How did he become the king? Well, he became the king because he knew how to deal with people. As a very young boy, he comes from Scotland. So he was staying in Scotland as a very young boy there. He had a mother rabbit. And definitely the family grew, so he had many small rabbits with him. So what he did was he called all the children around, his friends, and he told them that if you bring enough clover and dandelions, which these rabbits would eat for them, I would name each rabbit after your name. And the trick worked. Everybody went on, brought so many dandelions and clover for the rabbits, and Andrew named each small rabbit after them. This tactic he applied later on in his life. When he became the Steel King, he brought this first steel mill to US. In the number of mills that he had, he named one after Edgar Thomson and he named it Edgar Thomson Steel Works. Now, why Edgar Thomson Steel Works? Andrew Carnegie, when he was a very young boy, the whole family shifted to Pennsylvania, US. Andrew grew up there, and Andrew was working with Pennsylvania Railroad Company, which was the largest railroad company in the world. And the head of the company was Edgar Thomson, J. Edgar Thomson. He named one of the mill after him. And now, whenever Pennsylvania Railroad needed steel, where would they go? Definitely to Edgar Thomson Steel Works, which was owned by Andrew Carnegie. The trick worked, didn't it? Later on, there was this new innovative idea that came into railroads, and that was of sleeping cars, berths where you could sleep. We still have it, but it was back then in late 1800s. And Andrew wanted a big share of it. He wanted that this should go to his company and his company should build those cars. But he had a rival named Pullman, and they both were fighting for the shares, and they went to New York together to meet the officials, where Andrew approached Pullman and told him that why are we running around like fools and fighting for this? Let us, have a merger. And then he discussed the whole business plan. Though Pullman was happy but not very satisfied. And he asked Carnegie, what would you call the new company? And Carnegie replied promptly, why, the Pullman Palace Car Company. Of course, Pullman's face brightened and he said, come into my room, let's talk it over. So they went ahead to have a merger. Again, the trick worked. Well, the lesson that we can learn from this practice is, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and the most important sound in any language. Well, talking about Andrew Carnegie, he is again a man we should study. Coming from a very humble background, he was very intelligent. And when they shifted to Pennsylvania, his father was a small-time laborer, but he got a job in a telegram office and where he had to deliver post. And when he went to these businessmen delivering posts, he used to remember that person's name and face, so that the next time he went to that person, he would talk to that person calling out his name, which helped him build a connect very, very quickly. He was the first man who brought steel mill to the US. When he retired, he wanted to donate all his wealth to the society and in the betterment of the society and humanitarian works. And when he sold all of his business to JP Morgan, he earned a fortune of $350 million, which made him the richest man on earth. Well, he had signed a treaty that he is not going to use any of this for himself. So he built libraries all around US and Canada because he knew the importance of education and reading. And also one university which we are quite acquainted with, I'm sure you must have heard of this name, Carnegie Mellon University, one of the most well-known universities of the world, a place where great researches happen, and that was the university started by Andrew Carnegie. I have brought a very short video, the original video of Andrew Carnegie. It doesn't have any sound, but worth watching. Look at it. The little man in between is Andrew Carnegie. Well, so a very old video, but fortunate enough to see this great man. Next is an easy way to become a good conversationalist. This is the fourth chapter of the second section from this book, An Easy Way to Become a Good Conversationalist. Here, Dale Carnegie picks up the example of Sigmund Freud, a very, very well-known name in the field of psychology, a great psychoanalyst. His theories are still prevalent and are being used by people even today, the psychologists even today. What is great about this man is people who used to come to him as his clients or as his patients because he was a psychologist would never leave him. They would be so loyal to him. And the formula behind it was one of his clients say that it struck to me so forcibly that I shall never forget him. He had qualities which I'd never seen in any other man. Never had I seen such concentrated attention. There was none of this, that piercing, soul penetrating gaze. You know, he had a soul penetrating gaze. His eyes were mild and genial, his voice very low and kind, his gestures very few. But the attention he gave me, his appreciation of what I said, even when I said it badly, was extraordinary. You've no idea what it meant to be listened to like that. Another very, very important quality of leadership and an essential emotional need that people listen to us. Sigmund Freud is known to be such an impactful personality just because he was a wonderful listener. Be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. Yes, of course, he used to listen, and listening is not only through your ears, it comes through your body language, it comes through your eyes. And I'm talking about listening, so there's a difference between hearing and listening. So you need to be a good listener. The picture I've brought here is a theory of Sigmund Freud, still used, but I have brought it here because our personalities are like this. If you look at that iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is the personality that we show to people from our outer self. But our inner self is much more deeper, which consists of our attitude and thoughts. Well, we'll talk about this sometime later in our sessions. Moving on to the last story of the day, a sure way of making enemies and how to avoid it. Well, here the story of the great Benjamin Franklin, a polymath. Yes, he was a master of so many traits. Again, coming from a very humble background, had only 2 years of formal education. But because he was very interested in reading, he used to read a lot and turned into a very, very impressive personality. Rather, I would say, the most sophisticated of the personalities of those times in US, because US in those times I'm talking about the 18th century, was known for, tribes and people who were not that very civilized. But this man was considered to be one. But how did he become that? Let us see. Even Dale Carnegie is talking about the same story. He says that when you read the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, in this autobiography, Ben Franklin tells how he conquered the iniquitous habit of argument and transformed himself into one of the most able, suave, and diplomatic men in American history. Yes, he had this habit of criticizing people, of, telling people you're wrong. If he didn't like anything, he would just speak it out as a young man, a teenager. So one of his uncle took him aside one day and actually scolded him and told him, what do you think of yourself? How can you speak to people like this? How can you point out people like this? And that brought about a change in the young Benjamin Franklin. Thereon, he understood that the use of words, the correct use of words is very important. He says that I avoided using strong words like certainly, undoubtedly, and in place of that, he adopted using words like I conceive, I apprehend, I imagine, or it appears to me as if, which gave a scope for others to think that, all right, we also have a say over here. The learning we can take out from this chapter is show respect for the other person's opinion. Never say you are wrong. So this we can learn from Benjamin Franklin. But do you know, Benjamin Franklin was an author, he was an inventor, and he has invented bifocal glasses that we wear. They are invented by him. The rocking chair, even he worked a lot on electricity. And he had that famous experiment which he did with the help of a kite. And he invented a musical instrument called harmonica, which was used by Beethoven and Mozart, greatest musicians of their times. Here we come to the end of the three stories that I wanted to take up today. But before I say goodbye, as the trend goes, we are going to discuss three important words from these chapters that I could pick out. One is rut, which is a noun, a habit or pattern of behavior that has become dull and unproductive, but is hard to change. In Hindi, we can call this pakki aadat. Losing weight is possible, but only if you are able to pull yourself out of the rut and start exercising. This was the word we used right at the start, 12 things that you are going to get. Iniquitous, just with Benjamin Franklin, we use this word, iniquitous habits. So it's an adjective. Grossly unfair and morally wrong. The Hindi, we can say adharm. In a sentence, the academy exhibits zero tolerance for cheating and other iniquitous practices. Last word of the day, dogmatic, which is an adjective, a wonderful word, inclined to lay down principles as undeniably true. In Hindi, kattar. The politician refused to listen to others, and so everyone considered him to be too dogmatic. Well, this brings us to the end of our demo session today. I thank you all for joining, but I'm sure that you want to join us for the journey of 10 sessions where we will be discussing this very extensive but absolutely a masterpiece book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. What you have to do for these 10 sessions plus one talk a trick session is just a very small thing. We'll be sharing a link for the payment. 300 rupees is the charge for 10 sessions plus one session of talk a trick, where we'll be discussing an important but easy to adopt life skill, which if we can adopt in our lives, it's definitely going to bring a positive change. With that, I would like to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for joining. And I'm sure we are going to be together on the journey of reading this cult classic book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Thank you so much once again. Have a lovely, lovely evening.